Now for the hot dog.
Now for the hot dog fingers. Let's get into a movie we're talking about today, which is just probably one of my favorite movies ever. Let's get to the ticket booth.
That's the noise that I'm going to make.
Okay, dude, maybe I'll keep that audio. And
I hope not, because now I'm really self-conscious about it, and it's not going to...
Can you isolate and enhance?
So you should be... It sounds stupid.
Just distort it enough so you cannot tell that it's me at all.
Okay. I'll change the pitch up so it sounds like... Whoop, 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 whoop,
yeah.
Like
Fuck it up. Fuck it up so it doesn't sound like it came out of my mouth.
But anyway, this episode and the ticket booth, we are talking about the movie from
2020.
You got me all hot and bothered, saying you're drawing like space cowboy fan art.
So for the ticket booth, we are talking about the gem of a movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once from 2022. This is directed and written by Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. We have another duo here because they can't do it on their own. They probably can. But I wrote down here, they do a lot of A24 stuff. Art! Because all of A24's movies are art. And the basic rundown of this movie, a middle-aged Chinese immigrant is swept up into an insane adventure in which she alone can save existence by exploring other universes and connecting with the lives she could have led. Dan Kwan did Swiss Army Man, which is another A24 movie.
Yeah.
With the Harry Potter guy.
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe, and he uses him as a dead body jet ski.
Yes, it was a fantastic movie. Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but it sounds like you guys did.
It was pretty good.
It's fun. It's weird. It's different.
It's
worth
art.
a check out.
It sounds like art.
He farts and it's a weird movie.
You have to finish that sentence because you just said he farts.
The corpse,
like,
the corpse farts. He's a farting corpse. Like he uses them for so many different purposes, and farting. He has to use his farts for one of them.
Okay.
It's an odd movie.
He even uses them as a canteen. Like, uses his...
Yeah. He drinks water out of his... Like, it's a weird movie.
Interesting fact, now we're talking about dead bodies, and I don't know how true this is, but I think I've heard in my bouts of work why dead bodies float.
The gas buildup.
Yeah, it's the necrotic gas buildup, I think, in the bladder, because all the bacteria builds up
there's so
and
much
gases.
Typically, the digestive tract is going to generate so many gases.
Turns you into a balloon.
Yeah.
You don't even need to kill me to make me float.
So yeah, he did Swiss Army Man. Daniel Scheinert did... the only movie I wrote down for him, I've never seen it. It just had a funny title. The Death of Dick Long. So...
Is that the leader of the Long Dick Gang?
The Long Dick Gang.
Plaguing downriver?
The plague of downriver. I'm so happy this is getting James's heart. But yeah, I just put the death of Dick Long, ... So, for our cast, we have Michelle Yeoh, who is up for Best Actress for this movie. She should get it. She was in Tomorrow Never Dies. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Kung Fu Panda as the what do you say, a soothsayer?
She was the soothsayer?
Is that like a mystic? Like, Okay.
As opposed to like a doomsayer, you know.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Doomsayer is like
it's like a shaman, right? Or a future seer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Prophet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have Stephanie Hsu, HSU, from Marvelous Miss Maisel and Shang-Chi. And then we have Ke Huy Quan, who I enlightened James to this earlier today that I was not aware of. He is Short Round from Indiana Jones and Data from The Goonies.
That's awesome. But you know what's weird? Like, when you said that, I think I might have remembered hearing...
Okay.
That he was cast.
I don't know how I didn't catch it. His voice is
voice is very distinct, and just his demeanor overall.
Right.
He was very short roundish and Data-ish throughout the whole movie, kind of, in a way.
And since I thought he did such a good job, I wanted to give him more credit than his token Asian characters by adding his other token Asian character in Encino Man, and he was also in Loki. I didn't watch Loki. I don't know what he did in there.
I didn't know he was Loki.
But anyway... James Hong as Gong Gong in this movie. He was in Blade Runner as the iRobot doctor guy. He was in Big Trouble in Little China, and he was also in all of the Kung Fu Pandas because he is Poe's dad, the duck.
Okay.
So, love James Hong. He's in freaking everything. And Jamie Lee Curtis. And I just put, after Jamie Lee Curtis.
She was fantastic in this movie, too.
Terror Train, Halloween,
Virus.
Virus.
True Lies.
True Lies, not
man.
Speed 2.
Come on.
Speed 2 Electric Boogaloo.
But yeah, she's in everything, and she was great in this. So let me pull up the plot of this movie here. So, like we said before, this is about our main character, Evelyn. She is a Chinese immigrant who has moved to America with her husband, Waymond, not Raymond. I thought it was just a speech impediment thing at first, or like a language
Waymond
barrier.
with the W.
Right, but it is Waymond. And they started a laundromat together. They had a daughter, and Evelyn was on bad terms with her father because she left with this boy to start this whole new life in America. So whatever.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. But ultimately, they're taking care of Gong, the grandfather now. And they're in a shitty little apartment above the laundromat. We start the movie with just like...
She's getting audited.
Yeah, she has just a table, stacks of papers everywhere, just frantically trying to figure it all out.
For all the stuff that she's trying to mark and get organized.
Right, because they're going to the IRS later to try to take care of business or not get audited, whatever it may be. And we also see Waymond, her husband, approaches her, who is my favorite character in this movie. I know he's not the main character, but he damn well may as be.
No, he's number one, the supporting character.
Yeah, and he's just as important as Evelyn, even though he's not like the main force. He ultimately saves the day.
Yeah.
But Waymond, her husband, who's a total lovable goofball,
thinks he's always doing the right thing, even though perceptibly he's not.
Right. He's always trying to help the situation in his way, in his own way, which is sometimes a goofy
doesn't seem
way,
like it's effective, but it ultimately ends up working out in everybody's favor.
Right. But he's trying to talk to her while she's looking over all this paperwork. He's trying to give her a piece of paper. He's trying to be like, hey, can I talk to you? I know you're not listening. Can we talk later? And it's divorce papers. He's trying to divorce because obviously their marriage is doing probably just as good as their laundromat. Not doing so hot. Because obviously they've been swept up in just the rat race of life. You know, they wanted to start this life together. It was going, it wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. You know, but it's all just chaos now. She's swept up. She's distracted. She has no interest in dealing with her husband. She's
very hectic, and
she looks down on him, kind of.
And the weird thing is like she's having a conversation with her daughter, and her having dinner with her lesbian girlfriend.
Yeah, because the daughter's a lesbian, which they're super traditional Chinese. So
Gong, Grandpa Gong, she's really stressed out about how he's going to handle it.
Right.
And then in the meantime, we see in the background the security footage that Waymond is doing all this crazy shit.
Oh yeah, so as they go upstairs and they're dealing, the daughter Joy is talking to Evelyn, the mother. We look at the security camera footage
in the background while they're talking.
Yeah, and it's like it's not the main focal point, but it's what you're staring at in the scene.
Yeah,
and we
it's
see
well shot.
Out of all the different screens, he's jumping over.
Yeah, Waymond's doing some crazy shit,
and this is when you start to notice there's something weird going on here, and he goes into the office and does some weird shit. But anyway, it focuses back on just kind of the relationship between everybody. Joy struggles with Evelyn because Evelyn doesn't know how to talk to her daughter and doesn't know how to approach the situation with her being a lesbian and Gong. She struggles with her father.
Much stuff.
Waymond is struggling with not feeling listened to with Evelyn, and it's just a lot. There's a lot of emotions going on.
There's a whole lot. There's everything.
And what I love about before we get to them going to the IRS is that a customer's looking for their laundry and Evelyn's trying to find the bag of laundry.
Oh, that's what's her face. That's the chick that I was telling you
from
about.
Parks and Rec. She's the shell with shoes on.
Yeah,
Marcel the shell with shoes on.
I don't remember.
I can't remember her name either, but she's a notable actress. But Waymond, he's trying to find her laundry, and Waymond says the laundry's upstairs. And Evelyn goes upstairs, and all of the laundry bags up there have googly eyes. He's like, I put the laundry upstairs. I think they're happier up there.
Waymond puts googly eyes on all the shit.
He puts googly eyes on everything, and Evelyn hates it.
Yeah.
It's super funny. So at this point, they go to the IRS office. They decide that they're going to bring Gong Gong with them, and it's just going to be them two and Gong Gong. And so they show up, and it's their IRS worker is Jamie Lee Curtis, who's, like I said before, phenomenal in this movie. She's just kind of like they're like, sell us on a frumpy IRS agent lady. And that's what she did.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like, where the outfit's perfect. The look is perfect. The attitude is perfect. She's a bitch. You know, she's being a bitch to them because, like, there's a language barrier and they can't understand certain things.
And she makes it known that she's a tough cookie by all the awards.
Oh, that look like just big butt plugs.
Giant butt plugs behind her. She's like, I didn't earn these from nothing.
Well, there's like a really like grossy, like it's just one of those scenes where you're like, oh, people are gross. Where she like chugs a coconut milk or something out of a little cart and she gulps it.
I'm gonna regret this. Yeah,
crunches it and throws it away.
Yeah, which is what I do typically.
But on their way to see Jamie Lee, we get our first real like idea of what's going on. They're in the elevator on the way to see Jamie Lee, and out of nowhere, Waymond snaps into this weird. You see him kind of like snap up. And he takes out an umbrella, covers the camera, and he starts talking to Evelyn. He's like, you have two choices when we get up to the top. You can either turn to the right and go to the janitor's closet, or you can go to the left for your regularly scheduled meeting, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it gives her a set of instructions on the back of the divorce papers.
Yeah, he's like, if something happens, just follow these steps and you'll be fine. And so they walk out. She looks and she sees that there's a janitor's closet. But they go and they see Jamie Lee first. But as things are starting to go really wrong, because Evelyn can't concentrate because it's just so stressful. Jamie Lee's character is just talking all this IRS nonsense, and she's kind of catching them in some bullshit. You know, receipts that they wrote for things that were business expenses but aren't business expenses. And so as she's kind of giving Evelyn heat, Evelyn looks at the instructions, and it's like, take your shoes off, put your shoes on the wrong feet, think of the janitor's closet, close your eyes, hold that thought, and press the button.
Yeah, press the green button when you imagine yourself in the janitor's closet. Right. So it's like, you know, basically the kind of like in the Matrix. Elaborate. Yeah.
The beginning of the Matrix.
Yeah.
That's like exactly the whole elevator lead up is like when Neo's getting a call or whatever from Morpheus 100%. And Trinity, and he's guiding him through the office. Like, you can either run to this cubicle and then climb out the window.
Yeah,
or...
and his correspondence with Trinity and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So she ends up taking her shoes off, doing it, and it sucks her. Astro projects herself out of her body, flies her into the closet where we have another Waymond who's already in there, and he's giving her the rundown. He's like, look, I'm Waymond, but I'm not your Waymond. I'm Waymond from an alternate universe.
Alpha Waymond.
Because in what's happening, or what I need you to do, is what we basically do to stop this evil cosmic force that's breaking through all of these dimensions and tearing them all apart. You need to tap into all of your different alternate universes and gain the abilities from yourselves from those universes and use those to bring down the big baddie. And she's just like, what are you talking about?
Right. And meanwhile, she's kind of split between listening to what Waymond is telling her and what her other self is listening to from the IRS.
And it keeps jumping back and forth because if she is distracted or thinks too hard about one reality, she's pulled into that reality.
Right.
Which is a stress on the brain, and we find out later
the pot is cracking.
Yeah, that Waymond says it's like every time you jump, which is what that is, you put a crack in the clay pot and make it weaker. Mm-hmm. So as they're talking about this and Waymond's like, this is what you have to do, we see two fists punch in through the door of the janitor's closet, grab Waymond and snap his neck. And it's Jamie Lee Curtis as like this goony monster, right?
Yeah. She's basically just a big brute.
Right. And so she is obviously under control or in another personality of herself from an alternate universe who is working for this bad guy who we know is called Jobu Tupaki. And it's a weird name, and it's actually pretty funny because throughout the whole movie, Evelyn pronounces it wrong. Yeah, she calls it like something Chewbacca, Taki.
Tobu Chewbacca. She butchers a lot of names.
And that's fun. It's funny, though, because I think that's one of the charms of this movie is that it's not like, oh, it's an Asian, they don't get it, or they can't speak the language. I think this movie is a great look into that cultural barrier and putting these kind of different characters on the forefront with their perspective.
Oh, right.
So it's like, it's not really a joke at, they can't understand the language or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's a language barrier thing. It's a cultural thing. And I think they play that very well in this
for
movie.
Sure. Yeah, it's not like, they don't know how to speak English properly. It's not this or that. It's more like, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the name of that main baddie is significant?
Good question.
I think so. I wanted to research it a little bit further, but I think that it does.
What is it called? Not an anagram, but like when you flip a name around, like the King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard have Hans Chiyomi or whatever, or Hans Chiyomi, which is a blank insert word for humanity.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like a flipped 69, cut in the middle, mixed around word. Anyways, carrying on. Sorry, guys.
Search. No, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting
We'll Google
concept.
it. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I'm glad you guys are stepping outside of the realm of...
I figured that it had some kind of relevance, but like I said, I didn't really research it. So.
Right. So at that point, we get our first, all-out fight, because before Evelyn breaks down and taps into all of her universes, it's a lot of fighting with Waymond. They end up getting out of there. They're trying to leave. They're at the elevator. Evelyn sees Jamie Lee Curtis's character coming at him, and she thinks it's the evil version, so she socks her in the mouth.
Yeah.
And it's just her, the IRS agent.
Yeah, she's approaching in kind of like a threatening manner, but it's just because she has that cart behind her, and then the way Waymond is talking to her, she thinks that she is a perceptible enemy.
Right.
And so she acts accordingly, punches her in the face, and it turns out that she didn't really need to be punched in the face. Security is called.
Security's called, and at this point, Alpha Waymond takes over, and basically we get a really cool kung fu action scene where he uses his fanny pack and fills it up with aquarium rocks and kicks their asses. And it's not just all choreographed kung fu. They kind of go over the top with some of it too. Like when he throws the fanny pack through his arms, it's like that's not a natural throw,
right?
But it's accenting it, making it seem like it's powerful than just a regular punch or a hit with the fanny pack. So that was really cool, and that's one of the things I love about this movie. And I've been watching the characters too because I wanted to see how much stunt actors were involved. And even just looking at the scenes where you can see the face of the actors and actresses, they're doing something. They're doing something highly choreographed, and it was super impressive.
Yeah, no doubt.
So after that fight, we basically get a backstory on Jobu Tupaki, right? And so we find out that Jobu was Evelyn's daughter, and she, in the Alpha verse, they knew all about this verse jumping and stuff like that. And Evelyn in that universe saw massive potential in her daughter and pushed her to the limit on gaining these abilities, which basically turned her into this supreme multiverse being that experiences everything all of the time.
So she made an everything bagel.
So this Jobu Tupaki, basically her main shtick is that she wanted to put everything all into one item, kind of like a black hole, but it's an everything bagel. It's like an actual everything bagel, but it looks like a black hole.
Yeah, it's a really cool aesthetic, the way that they manage it.
And you can get sucked into it, get lost into it with all your different experiences, stuff like that. But that's her main thing. She wants to get Evelyn to go with her into the everything bagel.
Yes.
She wants to destroy everything, and she's going to bring her mom with her. But we get the backstory of Jobu Tupaki. She arrives at the scene. Basically, she crosses right through the police lines and gets into the building that they've now blocked off because obviously Evelyn and everyone's a threat, you know? And so this is where we get her entrance, really. And it's really cool. So they take an elevator down. They go into this room, Evelyn and Waymond, and I think it's just those two. And 2 security guards. They're getting escorted.
Yeah.
And then Jobu Tupaki shows up through the elevator dressed as like Elvis with a pet pig, and she fucks them up. Some really cool special effects.
Awesome scene.
She grabs one of the cops and he throws up confetti and then explodes into confetti. And she turns her face around to grab the cop's gun who's aiming at her, hits it like a bong, and then kills. It's just like all these cool things.
Scenes, man. Just I don't even remember like half the shit, but like,
well, there's so much.
There's just so much. You can't really retain everything within the first sitting. I gotta watch it again.
Which brings me to the fact that this movie, more so than a lot of others, I'd even say myself, would have a lot of rewatchability or rewatch credit. Like this movie, there's so many like little details. I imagine the more you watch it, the better it is.
It is, and there's scenes where literally you're seeing hundreds of flashing images of possible realities.
Right, they're like hundreds, and they're blowing through them, and it's super cool to look at.
It's really cool. It's an awesome fucking scene. Awesome scenes all around.
All around.
Yeah.
So they get away from Jobu only to be pursued by Jamie Lee's character, who's now like a wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, a professional wrestler.
Yes.
Or has those abilities. And they tell Evelyn basically...
So she's a jumper too.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they tell Evelyn to fight her, you gotta tell her that you love her. That's your jumping point. Because what's cool about this movie, to get all these weird powers, everyone has to do something really weird.
Yeah.
Like Waymond eats a bunch of chapstick, or, you know, pee your pants... Or, like, in this instance, the security guards, to get their powers, they have to shove one of those trophies up their butts.
One of the butt plugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always something that relies on, like, a chaos probability. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, something that's just doesn't make any sense that you have to do.
And so, as Jamie Lee is descending upon Evelyn to knee her in the face from an upper level, Evelyn succeeds in telling her, I love you. And we see her to gain these kung fu powers, but we see it in quick time. She gets transported to another life where she never left with Waymond. She got attacked in the alley by a bunch of goons, but saved by a kung fu master, who then taught her kung fu to teach her to be a kung fu master, which then made her an actress, kind of like Bruce Lee, like a kung fu master actress.
Yeah, world-renowned badass.
Super successful, and it jumps to her like in the limo at a premiere of her movie, her next kung fu movie or whatever.
Yeah. And then, like, we get that whole story, but then when it goes back, like, she starts being a badass, and the music that cues in is Claire de Lune.
Okay.
And that was, like, just such a fantastic musical cue.
Well, other than that one, in another scene, another kung fu scene, where they show her getting increased lung capacity from being an opera singer. The Chinese opera music that's playing in the background as she kicks all of their asses, like with the police shield and everything.
Yes.
Phenomenal. It's not just like action sounds, blah, blah, blah. They're really cool action scenes.
Yeah, and the music cues and everything just involved was just fucking amazing.
But this is what breaks my heart about this movie, because I love Waymond as a character. Everyone loves Waymond as a character.
Everyone loves Waymond.
Everyone loves Waymond. Waymond, your parents are over here. But when she sees how successful her life was, but when she jumps back with the powers and then fights Jamie Lee and beats her, she tells Waymond,
she tells Waymond,
you should have seen. I saw my life without you. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and like. Oh. You tell somebody like that, like Waymond especially.
Oh, and you can see it just breaks his heart, man. And you're just like, you know, and she's just like, you can tell she's not trying to be mean. It's just what a profound experience she just had. And just like expressing that.
Brutal honesty.
Yeah.
Right. It's just one of those things where it's like, in the grand scheme of things of concerning your own life, just the possibilities, how insignificant another is.
Right.
And that is heartbreaking to anybody.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of the truth, you know? It's just what it is. That's hard.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, this movie touches in that kind of stuff, and it's... Fuck, man. You can... There's plenty of times where you tear up in this movie.
Oh, just like I was finishing
feels.
this movie when Nick was like on his way over here. Just like the ending scene that we'll get to in a minute with Waymond. It just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they have all of these fights. I don't want to tell the whole movie. I want to kind of save this one for you guys.
You have to see it for yourself.
But at one point, Jobu gets a hold of Evelyn and takes her to the place where she has the everything bagel. And she's trying to convince her to join her and get into the bagel. Excuse me. But as Evelyn stares into the bagel, she's experiencing all of these different lives that she has, right? Seeing all these different things that could have happened. And we get a variety of things. We get, you know, her as the Kung Fu master. We get her in a relationship with Jamie Lee Curtis, and they have hot dogs for fingers.
Hot dog fingers. That's a whole other thing in its own, man. There's so much shit.
She's an opera singer, and...
she blinds herself in the process for the opera scene.
Yeah, as a kid, she was running and falls on chopstick or sticks or whatever, and they go into her eyes and they blind her. And my favorite one, she is a chef at like a Benihana restaurant.
Raccacoonie!
So she keeps getting in trouble at this job, and her boss keeps being like, "Oh, if you keep messing up, I'm gonna give your hours to Clint or whatever this guy is." And it's just like. The good guy at work, he's like, hey, everyone likes me, blah, 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 blah.
And he's got the hat,
he's got a big hat on. Yeah. But they link this joke in because as Evelyn's talking to Joy in a previous scene, she's trying to talk about Ratatouille. She's like, it's like the mouse under it's like Raccacoonie. And they all laugh at her for saying Raccacoonie, another language barrier joke. But in this alternate universe, she blows the cover of this other chef. She pulls his hat up, and there's a raccoon under his hat and controlling him.
Very cheaply done.
It's a puppet.
It's an animatronic raccoon, and you can. I think it's been sold at the auction already because all the shit's been auctioned off on for the fans of this movie. I would have loved to fucking bought Raccacoonie.
But it's just like little things like that, like little jokes that turn into bigger things in the rest of the movie. And in all of these universes, she's kind of deciding to give in to the bagel and be bad. Yeah. In the universe that we see at the very beginning, she gives up and just is kind of mean to Waymond and breaks a window while the cops are there. She blows the guy with Raccacoonie's cover, which makes Raccacoonie get captured by animal control.
Yeah, animal control. But this was all after basically they had a conversation as rocks.
Oh,
yeah, like
no, this is before the rocks.
Okay,
but the rocks have googly eyes.
Important
no.
That was eventually. That wasn't revealed too much later on. The googly eye one, and that was an outlier.
But as she's doing all of these bad things in our main universe, in the IRS place, everyone has converged. All of the SWAT is basically in there, and Evelyn's fighting them all, and Waymond's there fighting. But as she's deciding to be bad and kind of give into the bagel and do all of these bad things where she just kind of giving up on the universe, she doesn't care about those universes anymore because they don't matter.
Right.
At least in the negative perspective of one who can verse jump. But the thing that I love, like Waymond saves the day here. They're all about to fight each other, and basically Waymond turns into regular Waymond, and he just starts crying, and he's just like, can we stop fighting? And I'm sure everyone's just scared and confused and doesn't know what's going on. And that's when we should care the most and be kind to each other when you don't know what's going on. Because he does, and he's like, and the thing that breaks my heart, he goes, I can't help but feeling this is all my fault. I was just like, oh my God, dude. It's just like, what's such a good-hearted character who has no clue what's fucking going on in the grand scheme, but he's like, I can't help but feel like this is all my fault. Because he feels like him filing for divorce.
He feels the weight of all that stuff, you know? And, like, he's a character Dude, Waymond's a good character.
Oh, such a good character. But through this experience with Waymond, Evelyn has a change of heart and realizes that universe is important because it's her universe. It's her life that she started. In the one where she's a movie star, she meets Waymond again. And they hadn't seen each other since they were children, and he's talking.
But he's still successful, but not like
successful.
her.
And he's like, he's leaving, and he's like, look, you're breaking my heart for the second time. I just want you to know that I would have loved living another life with you, just doing laundry and taxes. Yeah. And I'm breaking up saying that right now, but it's like, oh, dude. And like through that and through the thing happening where he's just being kind, she kind of has that realization, like I said, that universe is important because
it's Raymond's humanity,
right?
That basically saves the day,
right?
You know?
These little things are important in the lives of everybody. It doesn't matter if you were a successful movie star or a kung fu master or so great at this and that. Your experiences with the people around you is what makes your reality important.
And it like
kind of like this podcast.
Dude, and like factoring into all this too is also Gong Grandpa, you know, and because he's
we find out he's like the leader of the Alpha team, right? And
he's Alpha Gong's entrance, dude.
Because he's been in a wheelchair this whole movie. Almost, and he shows up in like a mech suit.
Oh, dude, his Alpha Gong's entrance is so grand because it's basically he breaks in during Evelyn and Joy's like first like really physical encounter.
Sure.
And like all of a sudden she just Joy
Jopu
Tapaki.
You did the movie thing.
I did do that. And I'm probably going to continue doing the thing. I'm probably going to continue doing the thing.
I watch anime. I got this down, okay?
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, if I was a more avid anime watcher or a manga reader, I would probably be more proficient with this kind of stuff.
I watch anime. That makes me an expert on Chinese names.
Trust me, you're much more suited to the names than I am. But when he enters, they're having a dialogue, and all of a sudden, Jopu just gets annihilated by an unseen force initially, and then we see that it's Alpha Gong in a wheelchair.
Oh, in the wheelchair.
Supercharged wheelchair just crashes into her and is smoking.
But if you look at the back of the wheelchair, it's a coffee pot. It's like smoking. It's this makeshift wheelchair out of a coffee pot and remotes and dumb shit.
I saw the subtitles and I saw Alpha Gong and I was like, oh, dude. That was great.
So funny, dude.
Oh my god.
So at this point, being drawn back and realizing that her universe is important, she decides to fight like Waymond. Waymond has inspired her to not physically fight anymore, but fight like him. And basically, she throws googly eyes on everything.
Yeah, on the rock. And like basically embraces Waymond for who he is and what he's done. And what he does, you know?
Well, I'm just saying, like, to fight, she throws googly eyes on all of the SWAT team and everybody like that. And then she starts taking them down in very like personable ways.
But that's like, that's how Waymond.
Waymond.
Fuck. I'm even doing to Angela.
Oh, Evelyn. Sorry, that was a bad Ray Romano. But so Evelyn has decided to fight everyone as Waymond would in very personable ways. Like one of their customers from the laundromat earlier, who always talks about his wife who has passed away, always used to wear this perfume. He's about to throw a grenade at her. She grabs it, turns it into a perfume bottle, and sprays him.
Gives him a spritz. Yeah.
So it's like all these fun, loving kind of ways to take all of these people down. And she finally gets up and reaches Jopu Tapaki, and they kind of have their confrontation at the Bagel, because the Bagel is now in the office sucking everyone and everything in. And they basically get sucked in and experience all of these different realities. Together, as Evelyn is trying to convince Joy that being Jobu Tapaki is not the way, that this existence matters, or any existence matters for that matter.
Yeah. I mean, fundamentally what it comes down to.
One, they're a piñata family, they're a bunch of different ones, but then we see two of them as like rocks.
It's just rocks, yeah, and like they're having this dialogue, and it's just really
all text on the screen.
Yeah.
Because the rocks don't have voices.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
And I feel like that whole scene was almost kind of like a little precursor to like the what's it called? I guess a precursor, but a setup for Marcel with the show.
The show with shoes on.
Yeah, it's just a show with shoes and googly. It doesn't have googly eyes?
Yeah, no, it has just regular eyes, but they might look like googly eyes because they actually move around and everything.
Oh, well, I think they may have changed.
Because he's claymation.
All right,
basically.
yeah.
Well, he's not clay. He's a real shell with other clay parts. Yeah, whatever. He's a shell with shoes on. But anyway, throughout all of this, Evelyn starts to go through all of these verses that she was in doing bad things, and she's righting all of her wrongs. She gets on good terms with Waymond in the real verse. She gives him a hug, and they embrace each other. She recaptures Rakakuni for the guy. She gets him up on her shoulders and controlling him or whatever.
Yeah, she makes amends with Jamie Lee Curtis
with the hot dog fingers.
Yeah.
And so she's righting all of the wrongs and kind of showing Jobu Tupaki that her way is not the way.
Yeah. And
so it jumps back to reality, the regular verse, and we see Evelyn tell Gong Gong, Joy, this is Becky, Joy's girlfriend, and Joy is not happy about it because even though Evelyn has come to terms with it and is trying to do the right thing, Joy's just at her limits. And it's at this point that Evelyn realizes no matter how hard she tries at this point, she just has to kind of let her go.
Yeah.
You know, she's just got to let her be because she's doing hurt to her. Evelyn is doing hurt to her daughter just being around her. So she's got to just let her be and do her thing. But it all ends up being okay because
giving her that freedom.
Right.
Made her basically come to terms with the whole situation on her own.
Right.
Joy, that is.
Right, and so she gives up the Jobu Tupaki, or it dissipates, or it just it goes away, and she's just Joy again.
Yeah, basically she just fundamentally... And that's the thing, it's kind of difficult to see where Joy and Jobu kind of like really... where they intersect and overlap.
Sure.
In this last scene particularly. Oh, the whole thing kind of like, wraps up that not just that situation with Evelyn, but just the whole generational kind of gap in, I guess, disharmony between like, Joy and Gong Gong.
Okay.
Just like, how that is also resolved as well.
Sure.
Just all that was there's just so many fucking feels in the whole thing.
The whole thing is good, and that's basically where the movie ends. I mean, everyone ends, it's all good.
Yeah.
Right? Jobu Tupaki is destroyed. Evelyn is happy with her life again. Waymond is alive, and they are happy together. And
their marriage is reaffirmed.
Right. And it's a great ending to a fantastic movie. Like you said, there's so many feels going on in this movie, whether it's, wow, that was cool. Oh, wow, that's neat. Oh, that breaks my heart. Oh, that's
hilarious. It's really profound shit. It's a good movie. Great.
It breaks your heart, mends it, and fills it back up, all in a matter of like 30 minutes. And this is only an hour and a half movie. It's the perfect kind of movie. I think it's 90 minutes.
It feels, there's times where it just feels like it's a lot longer because there's so much just literally
going on.
At times feels like it's like 30 pounds of shit crammed into like a 10-pound bag. But I mean that in probably the best possible way, just because it's a lot.
But it all goes so smoothly.
Yeah,
in the movie.
The movie, it's so well paced that it doesn't take away from it.
Exactly.
It's just, you had to watch it multiple times to kind of like really get a full appreciation of
sure.
it,
And we're struggling, I think, I don't think we're struggling reviewing it, but like, this is a hard movie to talk about.
Yeah.
Because there's so many topics to tackle, so many things going on, so many things to talk about. I mean, the amount of work that went into the detail of this movie, seeing the hundreds of different versions of Evelyn in a 5-second span, all of the special effects, all of the choreography, everything that went into this movie, it's just so insane. And like I said, if it does not get an Oscar, at least one, the whole shit is rigged. It's rigged!
It's
and if I die soon, you'll know it's rigged.
But you know what?
Blew their cover.
Parasite got an Oscar last year. That was probably one of the first international movies. Subtitle or foreign language speaking movies that won an Oscar in the States in a long time.
Because people don't want to read while they're watching movies.
But Parasite was a fantastic movie.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Phenomenal movie. Beautiful. And this is a beautiful movie too.
Yeah. So, like I've bugged these guys for the last year almost, I would bug and ask and tell all of you, watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's probably in my top favorite movies now. It was the best movie of last year.
Top notch.
Hands down.
Top notch.
And I couldn't suggest it anymore.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree. There's not really anything that I didn't like about it.
Yeah, there's great. No lulls. There's no thing. And I'm going to bring this up again. Oh, I already brought it up earlier, but yep. Hard A. Hard, solid A. Rock hard, solid,
rock hard.
Girthy A. No A plus, no A minus. All around good movie.
Yeah, it's. I agree with that sentiment. It's pretty fantastic.
But that's all we got for you guys in this week's episode. If you liked anything that you heard, let us know down in the comments below. Or click that like or subscribe button.
Do it for us, if not for the movie.
That's right, if not for the movie. And
I'll even give Larry, go out and Larry, I give it a pulsating, throbbing A.
Ooh,
A plus.
Throbbing. Love it.
It's definitely A plus range. I have a coworker who doesn't watch any movie more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he just bought a 4K TV, and the 2 movies he bought for his new TV was Everywhere, Everything at Once, and the new Dune.
Oh, they both probably look. I bought 4K Dune as soon as it came out. I'm like, I don't buy 4K movies, but
yeah, that's a movie that deserves
for
it.
Dune,
100%. Yeah.
Which Dune Part 2 comes out later this year. I think it's November. Super exciting. You're all
gonna see it together again?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I'd love to see it with you guys.
Oh, before we end, I also played Shredder's Revenge.
Oh, it's like a video game I really liked. I want to talk about.
It's pretty friggin' awesome.
Yeah,
if you're a fan of the
it's a remaster, right?
Yeah, well, not a remaster, but it's kind of like a, I guess, reboot, like
a re-release.
Because those old arcade games, they only age so well,
right?
So you had to amp up the game and kind of make them a little bit more roguelike.
They probably just adjust the audio and make
it
no.
They make it so you can level up your respective guys and stuff like that. So stuff like that, it makes it work.
Okay.
I respect that, and it's a good game.
If you're a Turtles fan, like we are, as you can tell, we got some Turtle stuff on set. Check out Shredder's Revenge.
I was thinking about that when we're experiencing technical difficulties.
Right. Hey, dude, I mean, if you liked playing it, I want to hear about it.
It's pretty fucking cool. Check it out.
Which we're experiencing right now, but we're so close to the end, I figure I'd just cut to close-ups until we wrap it up.
Hey, that's totally fine. So let's wrap up this episode before another camera dies. Thank you all so much for joining us on this episode. If you liked it, click the like, subscribe button. Join us in this journey to being internet millionaire superstars. And until next time, this is Larry Downs.
I'm James. Seal off.
I'm Nick Airlock Shock Haskin. Make sure you check out Airlock Shock on Nightmare Fuel Streaming. Also check out my Etsy page where I'll be selling 3D printed bump stocks for AR-15s. Make sure you use promo code. Make sure you use promo code Back to School for 20% off.
Enough. Goodbye, everybody.
Bastard.
Goodbye.